Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs. On today's episode, we discuss the World Series that never was before diving into some of the longest hitting streaks in Major League Baseball history. But I'd first have to apologize for my voice today. It's a little scratchy. I feel like I'm fighting something here. A little bit of a cold, I think.
Some airplane guck you got.
I know, but you know, it's the devotion to my craft that makes me want to do this episode today. I've got some water that's going to wet my whistle. Although, Brooke, you really should. You should be making me a hot toddy or something. A little honey, a little lemon.
I can do that. How about
Okay.
without the lemon?
All right, well, go now. We'll listeners will wait.
No problem. Yeah, boiling water. Just waiting for water to boil. That's
That's right. Yeah,
that always works out well.
Listeners have that time. Well, before we get into, I got a riff about something with the game the other day.
Is this a new segment, Jerry's Complaint of the Week?
Yeah, old man Jerry riffs about baseball.
What's your problem?
So I'm watching the Yankees-White Sox game the other day, and, I'm a big fan of giveaways and little stadium promotions, but they had a House of Dragons promotion, and I just thought it was kind of like a money grab tie-in. It was really weird. Star Wars I'm okay with, I think it's going a little crazy, but yeah, I mean, not only did they give away a hat with a House of Dragons symbol, which everybody tells me looks pretty good.
It was pretty cool. It's a nice looking hat.
But then when the players went up on the scoreboard, now batting, Paul Goldschmidt, they had Paul Goldschmidt in like a House of Dragons outfit, high backed and, embroidered. Oh. And one guy.
Well, was he wearing it or did they AI it?
No, they used computers to do it.
Okay.
And one White Sox batter had an eye patch on, and he doesn't really wear an eye patch. So
is he a pirate?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't like it.
Well, I looked up some of the future Yankee giveaway nights that you can complain about in future episodes. Coming up soon is a Harry Potter night, which in itself, it's like, oh, that could be cool. But it's all Aaron Judge bobbleheads, 4 of them in each of the different Harry Potter houses. It just was, I guess it's going to bring people in. And then, of course, you have the Hello Kitty night, which I've been there once before where they have pocketbooks. This one is a bobblehead. She's got a Yankees uniform on. Then they have one called the Naruto night. And that one requires a special ticket. Although Naruto,
the anime and manga.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is which, but yes. And our son's not here to judge us, and he doesn't listen, so I'm not worried about it. But you have to have a special ticket. But they have a jersey that they give. It's combined jersey with the team. Yankees are doing it, but Mets have already done it. The Marlins are doing it. I think Seattle did it, and it's a pretty sweet jersey. Let me tell you.
Yeah, look, you have to get younger fans. Then again, I can't picture those old fans from the '60s with the cigars and the vintage shirts on, just kind of, you hand them a Naruto. What the heck is this? Well, enough of this banter.
Yes.
Pet peeves. But let's get to the trivia question of the day. Today we are talking about hitting streaks. So we're going to do a twist with the trivia question. Who has the longest hit-less streak in Major League Baseball history? The most consecutive at-bats without a hit.
Oh, poor guy.
Well, we'll get to our answer later on.
Oh, I wouldn't want that record.
Today's first pitch discusses the World Series that never was. Since the first World Series in 1903, there have only been 2 years where a World Series has not been played. Of course, the most recent was 1994 due to the players' strike. I don't even want to think about next season with a possible work stoppage. But the other, you would think maybe it was during the World Wars. It was not. You have to go all the way back to 1904. Which was the year right after the first World Series in 1903. So when the first series occurred a year earlier than that, the National League champion Pittsburgh Pirates and the American League champion Boston Americans, now the Red Sox, it wasn't really a formal league agreement. It was just an agreement between the two championship clubs who won their respective leagues that year. Now, Boston won the American League once again in 1904, but in the National League, in kind of a lead up to this, the New York Giants had run away with the pennant. They were 13 games over the Chicago Cubs. Giants owner John T. Brush had indicated even early on in the season that he was not interested in an interleague series. The thought being that there was a good chance of New York's rival team in the American League, the New York Highlanders, could win. You know what became of the Highlanders, Brooke?
I'm still stunned that there was a Boston Americans. What were they?
That was, again, the team that would become the Red Sox.
Oh,
Boston
okay.
Americans.
So, all right, not just different name. But no, the Highlanders. Go ahead. Enlighten me.
Well, the Highlanders are the original name of the team we now know as the New York Yankees.
Ah, the New York Yankees.
Yeah, see? Trivia.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten to the American League. We did the National League.
Yeah,
so I don't know all the American League original team names yet.
Huh?
So we're going to have to do an episode on that, Jerry.
Yes, absolutely.
Was their mascot a little Scotty?
No, but they were at a high point in New York City.
Yes,
on Hilltop Stadium in Washington Heights. So. Well, the Highlanders, it was close, and there was that fear by the New York Giants that they'd win the pennant. But Boston once again won the pennant, the American League pennant, 1.5 games ahead. But even without a New York team winning, Brush, the Giants owner, he had no intention of the Giants participating in a championship series. In addition, Giants manager John McGraw, who was just a scrappy, pugnacious 5'7" firebrand, he could not stand the president of the American League, Ban Johnson. Prior to managing the Giants, McGraw had managed in the American League the Baltimore Orioles, not the current Orioles. Do you know what happened to those early 20th century Orioles, Brooke?
No. This is getting silliness. So I think you only get to ask me one team history per episode. And now we're on like team number 3. So, how about this? I got an idea. How about we only deal with teams that have only one change in name or city? So, for example, we are limited to San Diego, Arizona, Colorado, Seattle, Toronto, Kansas City, the Mets, and of course our OGs, the Detroit Tigers.
You only want to talk about those teams.
Those are the only teams because
they don't have a history.
They don't have history. But for the listeners out there, I'm sure you will tell me about the Orioles. Must be a popular bird at the time.
Well, those Baltimore Orioles disbanded, but then became the New York Highlanders.
Oh, you're kidding me.
As we said earlier, became the New York Yankees. Though technically, the Yankees do not count those Orioles as part of their history.
All right. Go on.
Eventually, we're going to get back to this World Series.
Yes, go on.
So John McGraw, as manager of the Orioles, then clashed with Ban Johnson, the president of the American League, just a lot. Johnson fined him. He suspended McGraw. Finally, McGraw would leave, become longstanding manager of the Giants, and he took several of those Orioles players with him. So although John Brush, the owner of the Giants, didn't want an interleague championship, many people felt it was McGraw's hatred of Ban Johnson that really stopped the series from happening. McGraw felt that his Giants did not need to play a series as his team was the champions of the, quote, only major league. So there was no series in 1904, but there was such a backlash from fans and the press that Giants owner John Brush, he would actually be involved in drafting the rules that would be adopted by both leagues for the next season, agreeing to participate in the Fall Classic.
All right. Fall Classic. It was not actually called that until 1912. So,
well, little F, little C, because it was in the fall.
It was in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
But good point. So the next year in 1905, indeed, there was a World Series between the Giants and the Philadelphia Athletics. But it's a shame there was no 1904 World Series because it could have been quite a matchup. On Boston, you had Cy Young, Hall of Fame third baseman and manager Jimmy Collins. And on the other side, Giants pitchers Christy Mathewson and Joe Ironman McGinnity.
Wow. Well, enough talking. You need to save your voice, get a quick drink, and let's start the episode.
Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode.
Our main topic today is some of baseball's longest hitting streaks.
Okay, I'm going to ask, Give me the details of what makes a hitting streak.
There are no rules. It's like Thunderdome.
Oh, no.
I mean, in theory, a hitting streak could be like 2 games in a row. But
Sure.
that would just be silly.
Sure.
It's probably okay to start regarding a hitting streak. I don't know, maybe 10 games or something like that.
Well, okay, but that's not quite what I mean.
Well, I said there's no rules, but there kind of are a few. You do have to reach base on a hit, not an error or a fielder's choice.
Okay.
And you do have to participate in a game with one official at bat.
Okay.
So if you're taking the day off resting, it does not break your streak.
Okay.
Now remember, an at bat only counts if it's a hit, an out, or an error.
Wait, an at bat only.
An at bat
Okay.
only counts.
Okay.
That's why, when a guy gets walked 3 times, you might only see 0-1 in his stats, for example, on the game.
So a walk is not part of the hitting streak.
Technically, a walk does not count as an at-bat, nor does when you get hit by a pitch, nor do you get when you get on base from interference.
Okay, so if you were walked 3 times in a game, that was all the times you got up, that would not affect your streak.
Right.
It would just, the next game would.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Got it. I understand.
So in retrospect, maybe there are some rules. So no Thunderdome,
Nope.
maybe like a Rumble Dome or something like that. So I guess a better question is, when does a hitting streak really matter? A lot of the standard lists of longest hitting streaks kind of start at 30 games. And if you look at those lists, of 30 or more games in a row, there are only 57 of them in Major League Baseball history. And in the past 20 seasons, there have really only been 5 over 30. The most recent being Freddie Freeman's 30-game hitting streak in 2016. No streak of 40 or more since 1978. We'll discuss that one later. Now, what's often interested in hitting streaks is the longest ones are not always by some of the league's most consistent hitters. So none of the streaks of 30 or more are, for example, by Wade Boggs or Tony Gwynn, Ichiro, Rod Carew. Now, this year, at the beginning of the year, we had a little bit of a cool hitting streak I was following. Ildemaro Vargas of the Diamondbacks. He reached 27 games, not quite there. That ended on May 2nd. I was rooting for him. You get excited about these things. I'm going to spare you a discussion of all 57 hitting streaks over 30.
I think a listener thanks you.
But we will go into some of the big ones and some cool history. Now, one interesting streak that is not on the list, but it deserves mentioning. Back in 1887, playing for the Philadelphia Athletics of the American Association, Denny Lyons recorded a 52-game hitting streak. But 1887 was weird. There was a new rule that counted walks as hits. And that rule was dropped after one season. So it was like, whoops, that didn't work out. And 2 of Lyons' games had really only what we consider walks. So his streak is not on the list. So let's get into some hitting streaks that count. In 1894, Bill Dolan of the Chicago Colts.
I know who they are.
You know who they are. Yeah, they became the Cubs, right?
Yes, I know that one.
42 games. He's still number 4 on the list. He had broken a 33-game streak just the year before by George Davis of the Giants. So in those early days, hitting streaks were breaking each other quickly. But only a year later, Wee Willie Keeler had a 45-game hitting streak between the 1896 and 97 seasons that would remain the longest hitting streak until 1941. It's still number 2 on the list today. Now, as a side here, am I the only one when I hear Wee Willie Keeler thinking the old nursery rhyme, Wee Willie Winky, running through the town in his nightgown, making sure the kids are asleep? No?
Considering it was published in 1841, yes, you are the only one thinking
I'm the only
of that.
one? We're grabbing those younger listeners. I don't think young folks today learn their nursery rhymes.
No, probably not. I know his other nicknames were Wee Willie, Hit 'em Where They Ain't Keeler. And they also called him the Brooklyn Astor because he was paid handsomely by the Highlanders at $10,000 a year. So the Highlander, Astor being the wealthy family in New York. So those Highlanders are coming up twice today. I've never heard of them until today, and it's twice.
I mean, his streak was the standard up to, again, later on. A final word about Keeler. He accomplished his hitting streak while playing for the Baltimore Orioles.
But not those Orioles.
As you might have guessed, these Orioles are a different team than John McGraw's old Orioles and today's Orioles. Well, 3 Orioles teams. Who knew? I think there's 1 or 2 more if you include minor leagues. So going on, where Ty Cobb had a nice 40-game streak in 1911 with the Tigers that set the American League record, which would be broken in 1922 by St. Louis Browns first baseman George Sisler, or as they called him, Gorgeous George, with 41 games. We got to do an episode on Sisler, Brooke.
Well, if he's gorgeous, I just might want to. Is he a Hall of Famer?
He is indeed.
Oh, check another one off the list. We'll do him.
So Sisler's 41 games would stand as the American League record, Keeler's 45 as the National League record, until one Joltin' Joe DiMaggio. Where has he gone, Joe DiMaggio?
A nation cries. The nation
turns.
Nation turns its lonely. Nation turns. Yeah, there we go.
Ooh. What harmony. Just like an organ.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's go back to 1941 with a 26-year-old DiMaggio playing center field for the Yankees and the 56-game streak that still stands 85 years later as the longest hitting streak in Major League Baseball. Now, DiMaggio actually, when playing minor league baseball in the Pacific Coast League, he played for the San Francisco Seals, great name, and actually had a 61-game hitting streak. Now, as incredible as that is, there's actually a minor league record 69-game streak by Joe Wilhoit in 1919, playing for the Wichita Jobbers of the American League.
The Jobbers, not the Jodhpurs, the horse riding pants?
Yeah, the Jodhpurs. That would be a good name, too. No, they are jobbers, which is what they call kind of wholesale merchant by then, not the term for losing wrestlers in professional wrestling.
Is that a term?
It is a term, jobber, yeah. The guys who lose to people like John Cena who make them look good.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Look, wrestling trivia and baseball trivia, all in one episode. This is a keeper.
Oh, yes.
Well, back to DiMaggio. Prior to him starting his 56-game streak, he was in a bit of a slump. He was hitting 197 over the 21 games prior, but he sure picked it up, hitting 408 over the streak. It all started May 15th with a single off White Sox pitcher Eddie Smith. It was actually a 13-1 Yankees loss, so it was very inauspicious. And then about 13 games in, 19 games in, the press really started to take notice. In game 20 on June 2nd, Joe hit a home run in Detroit, though that day's baseball news was taken up really by the death of Yankee great Lou Gehrig. In game 34 on June 24th, St. Louis Browns manager Luke Sewell, he ordered pitcher Bob Moncrief to walk Joe DiMaggio, and Moncrief refused. And he got a hit. In game 40 on June 28th, facing the Philadelphia Athletics, the pitcher Johnny Babich told the press that he was going to get DiMaggio out on the first time at the plate, and then walk him all the others at bats to blow his hitting streak. He did, I think, fly out in the first time at bat, but then in the third, sure enough, 3 balls. It was pretty clear Babich was going to walk him, and the fourth pitch was outside the strike zone. Joe lunged at it, hit the ball inches from Babich's head into center field, and got a double. Joe would later refer to that as the, quote, most satisfying hit of the streak. Now, what's interesting is Babich had actually faced DiMaggio during his old minor league PCL streak. Well, on July 2nd, he broke Keeler's record with his 46th game in Yankee Stadium versus the Red Sox. He hit a homer over Ted Williams' great Red Sox head. The streak finally ended in July 16th versus the Cleveland Indians at Municipal Stadium. The pitcher was Al Smith. So things ended at 56 games. The whole nation was just focused on this streak, in the news every day. It was a nice distraction. The U.S. was not in World War II yet. They would enter later that year, but it was going on in Europe, and that dominated the news. So again, the DiMaggio streak distracted America from that a bit. He would go on to win the American League MVP that year, which was really saying something. 1941 was also the year that Ted Williams hit over 400, 406, which was the last time that someone would have a batting average over 400 to this day. So 2 great streaks that still exist today. Over the course of the whole streak, Joe would only strike out 5 times. In fact, he only struck out 13 times over the entire 1941 season, which today you could strike out 13 times in a week. He also never bunted during the streak. So a good way to remember the trivia of how long the longest hitting streak is at 56 is the fact that Heinz, the ketchup company, reportedly offered him a $10,000 bonus if he reached 57 and endorsed the Heinz 57 line of products. Joe would miss by one and not get that endorsement. Although there was an all-star game in there, and Joe did get a hit in the all-star game. It was 1 for 4. So technically kind of did hit for 57 games straight. Heinz didn't cough up, though.
Well, after the streak was over, in the next game, he did get another hit and then started another streak for 16 games. So in essence, he went 72 out of 73 games, if you look at it that way, with a hit.
Yeah. I mean,
still amazingly impressive.
Tremendous hitter, tremendous plate discipline. And trivia alert. Joe's brother, Dom DiMaggio, who played with the Red Sox at that time, had a hitting streak of his own in 1949 with 34 games. So he's on the list too. Now, for the next 35 years, no one had really sniffed close to DiMaggio. The longest streak after the 40s was Dom's, and Tommy Holmes is 37 in 1945. Several players with 31 in the late 60s, but no one's sniffing close.
Did you say sniffing close?
Yeah, sniffing close to that record.
Did he not shower? I've never heard that term, sniffing close. Did you make it up?
No, it's a term, sure. Yeah, it's a
listeners,
thing.
Listeners, this is my life.
It's gonna pick up. It's gonna be the
Start
next.
using it, please.
It's gonna be the 2026 Collins Word of the Year. Well, so this brings us to 1978, when at 37, one Pete Rose, in his last year with the Cincinnati Reds, challenged DiMaggio with what eventually would become the third longest hitting streak of all time after DiMaggio and Keeler, with 44 games. Though I was young, I remember the hullabaloo. You know that word,
hullabaloo? I do know that word,
okay,
yes.
good.
You use that quite frequently.
I remember the hullabaloo with Rose's hitting streak. I was an American League kid, Yankees fan, really only saw Reds games kind of during the playoffs. But Rose was just one of my favorites as a kid, given his resolve and doggedness, another great word. Let's just say Rose's name evoked different images back then than they did now. True.
He was 37 at the time, so that's still really impressive.
Yeah.
And I do remember Pete Rose. He was always in the news, sports news. I mean, hate to date ourselves, but back then, you watched the news every night. We're from the East Coast, so the news was on at 6:00, and you watched it while you ate dinner, and there was always the sports section. And I recall how he would just run over, infielders, first base, second base, well, not first base because you don't have to do that, but second and third base all the time. So I still remember when that streak, was going on.
Oh, yeah. Charlie Hustle was great.
Yeah. What? Isn't it Pete Hustle?
No, Charlie Hustle.
Why Charlie?
That's a good question. It was actually originally an insult from the Yankees, actually, when Rose got his start. Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford. Rose would do kind of these things that some people would think were showboating, like run to base after he walks and stuff. And they used to say, "Oh, look at Charlie Hustle go there." And Rose actually liked the term.
All right, we'll go with that.
Now, why Charlie as opposed to Bill Hustle or Tom Hustle? I have no idea.
I guess it was a generic term at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You always ask the tough questions.
I do. Someone wants to know.
Well, a pretty historic year, 1978 for Rose. He also hit his 3,000th career hit on May 5th in Cincinnati. Rose's 44-game streak began June 14th, 1978, with a couple of singles versus the Cub. Like DiMaggio, he had been in a bit of a hitting slump prior. The newspapers first noted this streak at about 10 games. At All-Star break, he was up to 25. And when he was asked about it, Rose said, quote, "I might go on forever." After game 29, they asked DiMaggio what he thought about Rose's streak. And DiMaggio said, "Someday someone will break it. And if that's the case, I hope it's Pete Rose." Rose's response to hearing that was, "That's pretty great. I hope it's Pete Rose too." Now, game 32 against the Phillies, Rose was hitless. He walked in the eighth, despite a bit of a contention there. The Phillies felt he actually swung. There were actually ejections over that argument that ensued. It looked like Rose was done for the day. It was the 8th inning, and the streak was over. But the rotation went all the way around to Rose again with 2 outs in the 9th. Rose laid down a bunt down the third base line, and Mike Schmidt, in a rare moment, wasn't prepared for the bunt. Now, in response to that bunt, DiMaggio, as you recall, never bunted. Rose says, "I know they might be mad about me bunting with a 5-run lead, but it's taken me 16 years to get to 31 in a row, and if they'll give me a bunt, I'll take it." Well, by the mid-30s in the streak, Rose was featured on the front page of sports sections. Reporters everywhere was hounding him. For Game 37, Shea Stadium, to play the Mets, had the largest crowd in years. Just to watch Rose versus the Mets. Rose would get 3 hits. Mets fans actually wore T-shirts. "I saw Pete Rose do it." He would pass Ty Cobb's streak of 40. He would pass George Sisler's 41. And then the streak ended August 1st, 1978. He was facing off against the Atlanta Braves, and Braves pitcher Gene Garber struck him out. Rose was salty. Garber was trying to pitch too hard to him. He said, he's pitching like it's Game 7 of the World Series out there, even though it was a blowout. But Rose could respect Game 2. Earlier that game in the second, he had a nice line drive up the middle, almost continued the streak, but pitcher Larry McWilliams made an incredible grab. Rose stopped on his way running to first and actually applauded the play. Now, the reporters afterward asked Pete if he were relieved, and he said, "No, I feel pissed off. I just went 0-4. We got beat 16-4. I don't feel relieved about anything." Now, Rose remained chuffed at Garber decades later, because Garber chose to throw a changeup there instead of, as Rose put, a, quote, honest shot, like being challenged with a fastball. Now, some interesting things about Rose's streaks. He did not have any homers throughout the whole streak. He did resort to some bunts, but he only struck out 5 times with an average of 385 across the streak. Now, since then, there's only been a couple of streaks within 20 of DiMaggio's 56. Paul Molitor for the Brewers got up to 39 and 87. Jimmy Rollins of the Phillies made it to 38 across the 2005 and 6 season. Will anyone ever break DiMaggio's record? Well, never say never, but many think it's an unbreakable record.
Yeah, but even with all the advanced training and AI on both sides, the pitchers and the hitters, I read that even the best 350 hitter has a 1 in a billion chance to match the streak.
Ooh.
Yep.
Jeez. Yeah, relievers were not used as often as today. Certainly the relievers weren't as strong as today's relievers and closers. Joltin' Joe would get the chance to see the same pitcher, late in the game in his 4th, 5th time around the rotation there. Plus, the league average strikeout rate in 1941 was 9.2%. Last year it was up to 22.2%. So it's been increasing consistently over the past 20 years.
Yeah, and Joe's fastballs then are not the fastballs of today.
Right.
They also didn't throw as many types of pitches that they can today. You mentioned the pitcher rotations. Plus now, every defensive play, they know how the hitter's going to hit based on the pitcher that's pitching. They have those, little things on their arm.
Yeah, wristbands.
That they flip up. Not to mention there's media pressure today. After every game, these days when a player goes to the locker room, the media is right there in their face, 10 reporters, and they follow them home. Then they have to look at all the critique on social media. It's a different time today to put up to the pressure of trying to have a hitting streak.
No, very true. But that's not a knock against Joltin' Joe. You play in the era you play in. DiMaggio was an incredible hitter. He was a smart hitter. His contemporary, Ted Williams, often referred to him as the greatest overall player he had ever seen. Plus, Joe got to marry Marilyn Monroe, so I'm not sure what that has to do with baseball, but it deserves stating. Hey, here's a final trivia alert. 3 players, all Hall of Famers, are on the list with multiple streaks of more than 30 games. Ty Cobb, Sam Rice of the Washington Senators, and George Sisler.
I actually have a trivia one too.
Oh.
Pete Rose is number 1 on the list if you look at players who have hit over 3,000 for the hitting streak. So his hitting streak is number 1 in that category. Because baseball has every
very
category out there.
Stats.
Yes. So he is a number 1 player.
Well, let's end with the opening trivia question. Who has the longest hit-less streak in Major League Baseball history? The answer, Chris Davis, who over the 2018 and 19 season went 54 at-bats without a hit.
No.
First baseman Davis started his career with 4 seasons on Texas Rangers. Most of his career until retiring in 2020 was with the Baltimore Orioles, which is the team he was with when he had the inauspicious streak, the Baltimore Orioles again. A more positive memory about Davis, he was a 2-time home run leader in the league in 2013 and 2015.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember back then, Brooke, if I had Davis on my fantasy team during his hitless streak, that would be
that sounds about right
for
yeah,
me.
Exactly.
Well, that's our show today. And check us out Monday for our next episode. We're now on a weekly schedule. You know, some busy summer commitments, but gives you some time to catch up and, you know, germinate on each episode.
Listen to them twice if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. But check us out Monday for our next episode. Hall of Fame Orioles manager Earl Weaver, as well as a review of the new biography on Weaver. Well, thanks always to Brooke, my producer.
You're welcome.
And shout out especially to George, another of my California music-loving buds, who assured me he'll be listening. We're always happy you're listening and hope you'll keep listening. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, where you can watch us on video or see photos of the players we mentioned, or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines and Fungos and Fastballs.